would be confined to his labs, his classroom. He'll be presenting his papers in the conference. A lot of his papers will be published, but he does not know what's happening in the business school. He does not know what's happening in the incubator. But this was an opportunity for him to see the university in its entirety. Some of the impact projects that the mentees had taken up have already taken shape, and these, I think, will be the drivers of growth for the university in the coming years. And as I mentioned, they are critical for the Vision 2020 of the university. And we think that we have created people for future leadership within the Manipal group itself. So if I have to look at the spread of and the geographies that we cover, we think that the next level leadership for these campuses also come from this institute. The kind of change within the cultures, I think, as I mentioned, the university or leadership within the university had painted itself with a halo. That has been taken off. The mentees now constantly shadow leadership, and even in this hall I have a mentee who's sitting through and he was a part of my meetings in the morning. He'll be a part of my meetings tomorrow. And these are the mentees who go with the vice chancellor, go with the registrar, go with the institutional heads, and be a part of the discussions that happen, and that they understand how negotiations are done, they understand how opportunities are looked at, they understand how deals are closed. So this to you in a nutshell is what we have done and the reasons why we think we have succeeded. But as I said, the real impact will be seen at least a few years from now. Thank you.
This wonderful leadership training program, we have a session on academic leadership post-lunch. So we will definitely use learnings of this program in the discussion. My question is that whether your group only focusing grooming leaders internally, don't you induct leaders horizontally?
I think our interests were entirely vested. Well, we always believed that cometh the hour, cometh the man. So that was the kind of leadership roles that people took on within the university in terms of whether it is a change of guard at the institution, change of guard at the university leadership. So we were always believing that a leader would emerge without knowing whether he or she has the necessary skill sets that have to go along with that position. We have always had leaders from outside come in, but not necessarily through this program. So this program was constructed for our faculty with the people who had performed well and the people whom we think had the potential for performance in the years to come. So that was a short list that we worked on. But leadership from outside getting into the university is always there. So heads of departments are inducted, heads of institutions are inducted. Just as we think that the people that we groom through this leadership will not always stay with me. The risk to a program of this is I'm giving to the industry on a platter ready-made material. I don't mind being poached. I don't mind if my leaders are taken away. But I know that this is an investment worth making. I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you for sharing that interesting case study, sir. We would like to thank you with the one student that we are sponsoring for his education. This is Vivekananda Kalappa. Vivekananda Kevappa Revenavar. So he's a student that will get a little bit of funding from the NHRD. Thank you, sir. Topic we'll be discussing in the first panel is academic leadership, governance, and institution building. Rajan, Dr. Panduranga Shetty, Dr. Anand Joshi, Professor Vijay Agarwal. Can I request all of you to come on stage, sir? Begin. So, Dr. H. Chaturvedi. Dr. Harivan Chaturvedi is Professor and Director of Birla Institute of Management Technology, BIMTech, since 1999. Dr. Chaturvedi has positioned Birla Institute from a very small business school to top 10 private B schools of India. He has obtained master's degree in commerce and doctorate in business management from Agra University. Dr. Chaturvedi was conferred the honorary professorship by the St. Stephen University of Hungary in 2007. Thank you for being on our panel today, sir.
The organization, the university or the college. So we are going to take up all these issues, but initially we'll give 5 minutes each to all panelists to give their views on this background, on these issues, and their general views about the academic leadership, governance, institution building, and the interrelationship between these three categories of leadership issues. So I will start with the right side, Dr. R.C. Natarajan, who has played long innings in management education, currently director of IRMA Anand. Dr. Natarajan.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. It's always very difficult to speak after Dr. Chaturvedi because he's so forceful in whatever he says. But he has laid the platform very nicely. And I'll confine myself to the micro issue of what an individual institution can do and how the institutional leader can make a difference to
You would like to speak up more?
the education system within his or her realm. Dr. Chaturvedi was talking about 200 years old education system in India. Unfortunately, we have inherited that from the British thanks to the great Macaulay's vision for breaking the backbone of Indian culture. We started our education system with the understanding that the Indians shall be made superlative clerks for the British babus. We still seem to continue the same legacy. Education is no more education, but it is just to build up certain aptitudes by rote learning, writing examination, passing. There's a common one cut fits all kind of an impartation method. One test tests everything kind of examination and assessment system. And there is a great fetish for marks and class in addition to the degree. All of us here are from the background of management education. Once upon a time, we used to call our schools as business schools. Now, some of us are averse to calling it business school for the simple reason that the moment you talk about business, there is an underlying understanding that it's got nothing to do with the other aspects of life, whereas management permeates all areas of life, and therefore management education implies that one learns to manage everything, both in life and in career, not to talk of the society and environment.
Before inviting the next panelist, I would like to submit that if any city is considered congenial or supportive to the idea of institution building, I think among the top 5 cities in India, Bangalore should be there. Bangalore is a place where the founder of the Tata Business Group thought to establish Indian Institute of Science, investing 50% of his personal net worth. Bangalore is a place where there are large number of public and private institutions serving higher education, and out of those well-respected group of institutions, group is RV Group of Institutions, which is 75 years old. They have set up an engineering college 63 years back. The president of this group who is a senior citizen working 16 to 18 hours a day. And surprisingly, I am very proud to convey to all of you that today his wife and daughter were not keeping well. Wife is in the hospital since early morning, but even then, he is a committed person. So big applause to Dr. M.K. Pandurang Setti. Your notes?
Respected panelists, members of the audience, let me first of all thank the organizers of this meeting for having asked me to speak a few words on this occasion on a very, very important topic.
Can I have your card?
But the governance. When I entered this field of education to occupy the seat provided by my trustees was the most difficult task one could imagine. However, God had blessed me, God has still blessing me, and from 3 institutions we have got 27 institutions with a student strength of 17,000 in Bangalore alone.
2, 3 days.
Having started
I'm Lucknow.
the institution in 1940 with an aim by a teacher with 6 students, we have grown into 17,000 students today. We have a commitment. That commitment is to provide education to all classes of people at the affordable cost. The trustees are selected not for getting any sitting fees, for giving time and for giving advice to the trust to be managed on the ethos provided by our founder. All that I can say is education cannot be business. It should be managed like business, but it should never be business.
In Washington, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He has been a faculty at IIM Lucknow and MDI, now currently occupying the position of Director, Professor and Director at Faculty of Management Studies at Manav Rachna University, Faridabad, Haryana. Dr. Vijay Agrawal. Kindly give a big applause to Dr. Vijay Agrawal.
Thank you, Chaturvedi ji. I'm not a person of management. Let me first have some disclaimer. I am more of a mathematician. I just happen to be in engineering at IIT, but my interest was always in mathematics. And then I did OR. OR also was in more mathematical OR at Case Western. And I did my thesis in game theory. So it's totally a different ball game. And then I was in departments of mathematics in US. Then I came into engineering and industrial engineering rather at University of Maryland, and then slowly got into Department of Operation Research, which was part of the larger system management. So that is how I first got introduced into the environment of management. I was not involved. I have no MBA formal education at all. But slowly I observed. So I think it is only by observation that I realized what I might be missing. And there was a challenge once, I'm talking about 80s, there was a dearth of information system people to teach course. So my department chairman asked me if, knowing my enthusiasm, etc., in several things, this is a very different kind of thing, would you like to handle? I said, okay, let me try. And there was a great book at that time, I forget the name. I mean, there's a classic, I still would say some people who want to really get inkling into management, that is an MIS book. I mean, not the kind of books that you see today. Okay, it was written by a professor at University of Minnesota. So as I taught the course, I learned slowly the different dimensions of management. So that was my induction into management, and that was 80s. And then I decided to take a break. I said 2 years, let me spend in India. So I came, I was attracted to Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. So they, gave me the key position. C.N.R. Rao just had stepped in. So had a talk with him. So my lot of management learning has been on the job.
Good afternoon to all. Distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. The topic is quite interesting, but let me start with the governance and institution building. There is a sharp silver lining between institutional governance and academic management, what you call is now with the academic leadership. The institutional governance is a platform wherein it consists of the promoters, the government, the academic leadership, wherein they focus on 3 issues. That is the changing governance pattern in the current era. Number 1 is the system-driven approach. Today is X is the director, tomorrow Y is the vice chancellor, but ultimately the institution should function on the systems and process and not on individuals. The second one is the private equity in higher education. The fund flow of the promoting governance body or the government, the influencing strategy of the institution, that is what we call it as a institutional governance. The influencing strategy, that is very important for any governance structure. And last but not the least, with reference to institutional governance is the pricing strategy. Ultimately, today, it is the pricing of the fee structure is determined based on the cost of education, the delivery cost, the per student cost, creating a marginal surplus, if not scored as a profit. That should be governance structure changing pattern in the current trend. He will not receive from the faculty directly. He has got an independent thinker. Obviously, now even the regulatory bodies have to think out whether it's not just the qualification of the teacher, PhD or MDA, MTech or whatever it is, whether the teacher has got the relevance in terms of the curriculum, whether he is capable of teaching the subjects of the curriculum that is adopted by the university or the institution, whether he has got the knowledge in the domain area. It is not just by qualification, it is by the knowledge. So that is very important in the current next generation of the teachers. The next part of it is whether he can bring a strong connect with the students. He is intelligent, no doubt, but whether he can reach it, this is the responsibility of a strong academic leadership in an institution. The last, which I am talking about, is on the intellectual leadership. Today you are talking about only academic leaders. The leadership is not just about the academic management. Leadership it is of what new things he is creating in terms of the creating the knowledge, new knowledge, whether that particular knowledge has got relevance to the market dynamics. The market.
Throw 2 or 3 questions, and I will request my fellow panelists to give answers in 60 seconds, means 1 minute, because we have to conclude by 3 p.m. And of course, we'll invite some questions from audience. So first, let me ask one question to my fellow panelists first, and they have to give a short answer. The question is that an academic leader, say vice chancellor, principal or director, how should he manage his or her relationship with the owners, faculty and students? My question is, how a vice chancellor, a dean, a director or principal should manage his or her official position with owners, faculty and students in some tricky situation. I will start with Dr. Natarajan. यहीं से बोलिए.
Well, most of us don't know how to maintain a relationship with our spouses. So you're asking such a tough question, 3 dimensions. Well, I can tell you what I've been doing with my... The easiest is to maintain a relationship with the students because they have to know you as, on the one side, the administrator of the institution, and therefore they should know that it's a formal relationship there, and they should also know that you are there to help them learn, for which you need to be a mentor and coach, more as a friend. For the colleagues, yes, again, you're wearing 2 hats. There are areas which are completely non-negotiable in administration, and there you have to be, if I may use the phrase, Narendra Modi. You have to act like a tough leader, but you should also encourage and nurture free thinking. You should have the intellectual arrogance to ask questions, and you should have the intellectual humility to accept questions. That is very important. And with the founders, with the promoters, with the owners, the relationship is always one of, I am an employee, you're the owners, and I'm here to do a job, a mission.
3 stakeholders, the owners, the faculty, and the students. Well, the first thing is, what was your unwritten contract, or at least understood contract between you and the owner? In the sense, is he looking at efficiency or is he looking at effectiveness? Okay, that is the primary thing. If he's looking at efficiency, that means everywhere, he's looking at large numbers of students, faculty has been given at a particular salary scale, and have to bring up some surplus, etc., whatever. So the point is, effectiveness doesn't come like that. Okay, effectiveness requires much larger set of things.